Hello and welcome to a new magic tutorial. Because I'm a father of two incredible kids, I am blessed every day in watching them grow and how they dream in being superheroes or having magical powers. If you love my work, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video also. Alright, let's start the tutorial by using this entrance from a train station, I think, and let's make it smaller. First of all, press Ctrl and T. And now let's make it smaller and place it on top where we need it to be. Alright, I think something like that. And because I noticed that it's not really, we don't have straight lines, so the horizon line is a bit off, we are going to hold Ctrl and drag some of the corners to make it straight. So if you want to have some guides, you can drag here from the ruler side. If you don't have the ruler, if you have it like that, the Photoshop, just press Ctrl and R and you will have this ruler, and then just drag some guides where you have some vertical lines and some horizontal lines. Alright, so those will be our guides, and hold Ctrl and just drag some corners and move it around. Alright, so we found a good position, just press enter and it will apply that transformation. Alright, if you want to get rid of the guides, just press Ctrl and H or just drag them into the ruler where you got them in the first place. Now let's move on by hiding some parts that we don't want. As you can see, we have some metal things that we don't want to keep, and we will gonna hide them. So first of all, let's drag this photo on top of our folder with the stock images. Let's hide those parts. First of all, I'm going to duplicate this layer. So I'm going to press Ctrl and J and right click, and I'm going to rasterize this layer. Alright, now we are going to use first the patch tool. You can find it here on the side. If we want to remove this metal thing, we are going to select it with the patch tool, and we are making like a circle around it and just drag it in an empty zone. Now we are going to do the same thing with this one also. I'm going to drag it to the left. Alright, and the same with this one. If it doesn't work, we are going to use another tool. Alright, but because we have this line here, we are going to use the clone stamp tool. So this way, I'm going to hold Alt and click once, and then I'm going to use the brush tool and repeat the process. So as you can see, we have a preview with that line that we just selected from that area, and just press once and you will go to the bottom and cover that area. Alright, so now we are going to do the same thing with this clone stamp tool to this area. So hold Alt and we are going to use the brush tool and hold Alt again and repeat the process until you hide this area. Alright, now we are going back to the patch tool because it's easier with the patch tool on those objects, and just select and drag it to the top. Alright, let's see. We have another one. We do the same thing, select it with the patch tool, drag it to the side. Alright, and here with this blue thing, we are going to use again the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to hold Alt and select an area outside and just paint. Alright, if you want, you can spend more time. You know, there are a lot of details that you can do or hide here, but for the moment I think it's okay. Now let's right click again and convert it to a smart object. And we can move this, the first one, to the stock folder. Alright, now I want to hide the door part, the entrance part, and I'm going to use the pen tool, or you can use the polygonal lasso tool. It's up to you. Let's try with the polygonal lasso tool. So I'm just going to select an area that I want to hide. So I'm clicking once and then going to the bottom, and I'm going to select this area. Alright, and then I'm going to hold Alt and click on the mask, and we have this part gun. Alright, now we have the top part ready, and let's move on to the other parts. Alright, so next thing that I'm going to do is adding the road part, the street part, and let's drag this one to the top underneath our layer, and let's hide again the stock folder. Alright, so we have this image with the street, and let's make it a bit bigger. So press Ctrl T and let's make it bigger. Alright, so we have this street, and I think we need to rotate it a bit anti-clockwise. Alright, let's drag again a guide from the top, see if we are okay. Alright, I think it's okay now. Let's move it a bit down. Alright, and now let's make it bigger, move it to the top again. Alright, and let's add it a bit of perspective. So right click and choose perspective, and now hold shift and drag the corners to the side. Alright, I think we have what we need. Let's move it a bit down. Okay, so we have our street prepared and it's placed underneath. So we are going to add a mask, and with the rectangle marquee tool, or press the letter M, just select this area to the top and just hold Alt and press delete. Alright, so we prepare this part of the road, and now let's move on. First of all, I want to add that water effect on our street, and because we already have the mask, we are going to use the brush tool now. So take the brush tool and use a soft light. Alright, and now we are going to increase a bit the size of the brush, something like that, and let's decide the shape of the reflection. So be sure that the black color is selected, and now we are going to draw something like a weird shape, which will be our water reflection. So from the center, I'm going to draw something like that, like a weird shape to the sides and also to the other side. If you want to change the shape of this reflection, you can always switch to white and paint over, and you can add those parts again to your selection. So this is a non-destructive way of working. Let's go to the stock folder. Alright, let's take this one with this beautiful landscape. So let's drag it to the top, and I'm going to place it, actually let's hide the stock folder, let's place it underneath our wall. So we have this image, and now let's press Ctrl T and make it smaller, so you can drag the sides, for example, and place it where you want it to be. And I want the sun to be to the other side, so just right click and flip it horizontally. Alright, so let's drag it and make it a bit bigger. I want the sun to be on the right side of my picture. I think something like that. Alright, now this is a really good position for our background, for our landscape. And now let's play around with some things. So to make it look more natural, we are going to use a grass brush tool, this one, and with the black color selected, we are going to zoom in a bit, and we are going to play around with this area, and I'm going to paint on that side to have the grass on top of our wall part. Alright, so our wall looks really nice, and now let's take care of the bottom part. So that means we need to apply a mask to our landscape part. So I'm going to use the same brush tool, the grass one, and I'm going to paint. Alright, so now it looks really nice. I think we can leave it like that, and let's move on with adding the other details. First of all, we need the picture with this little kid. So we have this picture, and I already selected the little girl because this takes a lot. If you want to learn how to select a subject, I have other tutorials for that. I'm going to give you the link for that tutorial. And let's place the little girl on the top. And I think she's a bit too big, but I'm gonna leave her like that for the moment. And the next thing, I want to add this picture of this little puppy, right? And of course I already selected the puppy. I have him like that, already selected. Let's move it to the top, and also let's bring back to the stock folder and hide it. All right, so we have this picture, this puppy already selected, and we can place him something like that. And I think it looks okay. We can make the little girl a bit smaller, so press Ctrl T and drag on of the corners, and I think it's okay like that. Of course, because it's a smart object, you can always make it bigger or smaller, it's up to you. Alright, so we placed our main characters, the little girl and the puppy. Now let's move on. I have this archer from Pstock, from DeviantArt, I think this is how you pronounce it. She has like a huge collection of characters, and I already selected the archer, and we are going to place her underneath our design. So now we have this archer already selected. Let's hide the stock folder, and let's make her a bit smaller, so press Ctrl T, make her a bit smaller. All right, so now she is bigger than the little girl, of course, so I think something like that should work. And let's press Ctrl T and flip it vertically. All right, we can drag her down a bit, and now we need her to be underneath all the layers, because she should be like a reflection, something like that. And we can move again the little girl to the left, our left. All right, something like that, so she can match the position of the little girl. And we can move the archer a bit to the top. All right, so I think we prepared this archer really well. And now let's move on by adding the big wolf. So we have this really nice picture with a wolf, this one. And I already selected the wolf. I have a really nice tutorial on how to select animals with fur. You should watch it and learn how to select animals like that with fur. So we have this big, not really bad wolf, but this big wolf. And let's press Ctrl T and then right click and flip it vertically. And of course, let's drag the wolf underneath, something like that. And of course, place it underneath all the layers. So it should be inside the water. So now, because we placed our characters, we need to have the reflection of the wall also inside the water. So let's hide the stock folder, and we have this picture. All right, so now I'm going to press Ctrl J, press Ctrl T, all right, and flip it vertically. We have it flipped vertically, and let's drag it underneath everything except the characters, of course. So and we need our characters, sorry. And let's drag it to the bottom. I think, let's see, let's be really careful. And I think something like that works really nice. So now, as I said, we can always modify the shape of our reflection. So let's go to this mask, use the brush tool and a soft brush, and choose the color to white, because here I want to have more stone road, and I want the reflection to be a bit down. All right, so we have this one. Of course, you can switch to the black color and play around more with this reflection if you want. So that's the way I created the reflection. All right, so we have all the characters ready, except that on the bottom part, I want this background made by Aron Visuals. I found this one on unsplash.com. You're gonna have the link for it. And of course, let's press Ctrl T and let's make it smaller, and then right click again and flip it vertically. And now let's drag it underneath everything. and place it where we need it to be. I think something like that. Now, I don't know if you know this shortcut, but I use it a lot. Just press the letter R and you can rotate your canvas. So now if we zoom in, press the letter V to take the move tool, and we can play around with our background. So let's see where the light comes from. I think from the right side. So is the same with our sun? No, it's not the same. So that means we must flip it. So you can move it like that to the left. You can press Ctrl T, then right click and flip it horizontally. And I think we have the light in the correct position, and also we have some part of the moon over there. So I think we prepared the background really well. Now press the letter R again and choose Reset View. So it will take us from the beginning where we have our and it will undo that rotation of the screen. So now we prepare everything, and it's time to apply some effects to make it look more real. First, I noticed that we need to move a bit the background to the top. I think something like that. So just use the arrows from your keyboard to move your background picture to the top. All right, so now let's take care of the bottom part. So we have from this part, from this layer, until the background, the dark background, the night background, we have all those layers. So I'm going to hold Shift and select them all and press the group, and I'm going to rename this one to bottom part. But I think I included this one wrong, so let's drag it back, and this part should be top part. So hold Shift, select all the layers, and press, by holding Shift, press this group icon, and let's name it top part. All right, so now we have everything ready, and we have the bottom part and we have the top part. So now makes sense. All right, so let's begin by taking care of the bottom part first. I don't know why I started with the bottom part. We could have started with the top part. It doesn't matter, it's the same thing. So let's take care of the bottom part. First thing, I'm going to add a gradient map, and I'm going to add something like a blue tint, because we need some water reflection on the bottom part. So this one should be something like a blue. To the left, hit OK, and to the other side we have another blue color. All right, hit OK, and then we are going to use soft light for this bottom part. But I'm going to drag this one underneath our road, because our road needs to be without that bluish reflection. So this adds a bit of blue on the bottom part. All right, now I'm going to go to the road part and choose selective color, and click on this little icon that will clip these adjustments into our layer. All right, now if we are modifying some things here, let's modify the neutrals. And now I'm going to add a color to our road, which will be more to the orange side. All right, I think this looks nice. You can use those settings if you want, or you can keep it to like the blue color that it was in the beginning. And now the next thing, I'm going to add brightness and contrast. And the same, I'm going to clip it inside our road by pressing this clip icon. All right, now if we are modifying the brightness, it will modify the brightness to that side, something like that. Now press Ctrl and I on the mask to invert the mask, and take the brush tool and decrease the flow to around 10%. And now with the white color, be sure the white color is selected, we are going to paint here on the bottom part to add that darkness a bit to our image, because this side should be a bit darker than the rest of the image. Now go on the wall picture, and the same, add brightness and contrast, and clip it inside, and decrease the brightness, something like that, increase the contrast. And now let's use the same thing, Ctrl and I to invert the mask, And the same with the brush tool selected, we are going to paint on the bottom part more than the top part. So if I'm going to paint here on the bottom part, alright, so we added some brightness and contrast. Actually, we decreased the brightness. And now let's create a new layer. So go to Layer, New, Layer, and choose Soft Light, and fill it with 50% gray and hit OK. And now hold Alt and clip this layer inside our wall or entrance layer. Now take again the brush tool, but this time let's use the black color. Now let's decrease the flow to around 3%, and let's paint with the black color on that wall picture. Alright, so we managed to add more darkness to that side. Now let's press R again and rotate our canvas, and let's see what we can do here much better. So because we have some blue light coming from behind, we are going to add another layer. This time I'm going to add the same layer, new layer, but I'm going to use this linear dodge and fill it with 100% black. Now again, let's hold Alt and clip it inside. Alright, now let's select one color from our background. So this you can do this by holding Alt and click, and you'll select one color from the background. Alright, now with this 3% flow, we are going to paint a bit on the sides of our wall. Alright, now double click on the icon and hold Alt and drag the right slider to the right more, I think something like that, and hit OK. Let's see. This adds this bluish tint to our entrance. Now, because we are in this rotating mode, let's take care of our characters. So first I'm going to take care of the archer. First of all, I'm going to, let's hide the wolf for a bit, and let's drag this a bit to the top. I'm going to explain you why. Alright, so because the little girl has red boots, I'm going to make those boots of the archer red also. So I'm going to add hue and saturation, and I'm going to clip it inside by pressing this little icon. Now I'm going to take the pen tool, so press the letter P, and I'm going to select only the boots part. When you finish, just press Enter. On the mask, just press Delete. Now with the mask selected, just press Ctrl and I, and we have only the boots selected. Now if you are selecting the settings, the properties of the hue and saturation, and play around with the sliders, you'll see that it will change the color of the boots. Now let's choose, instead of normal, let's choose color. And now let's play with the settings and find a good red for our boots. I think something like that works nice. Doesn't have to be the same color, but at least we change the color of the boots. Now select both layers, the archer and hue and saturation, and let's move the archer back to the original position, which is this one underneath the wolf. But I think because we have this gradient map applied, that red is not really that visible, so we need to change a bit the settings here. So I changed the mode. Instead of color, I change it to screen and modify a bit the settings, and now I think it looks much better. Now, because we have the light coming from our left side, we are going to darken more the right side of our elements, in this case the archer and the wolf. So add a levels adjustment layer and clip it by pressing this little icon, and I'm going to drag this slider, this white slider, more to the left. So I think something like that. And now press Ctrl and I on the thumbnail of the mask, and it will invert the mask. Now with the brush tool selected, and be sure the white color is selected, I'm going to paint, and where I paint, it will make that part more darker than the other side. Let's add another layer, that soft light layer, which works like dodge and burn in our case, and hold Alt and click between the layers. And now with the same brush, but this time black selected, we are going to paint in the same right part and add more darkness. Now let's add a new layer, which it will be set to linear dodge. So because we have some blue light coming from behind, I'm going to hold Alt and select one of the blue colors from the sky. And now with the brush tool selected and this blue color, I'm going to paint on that left side of our subject. And I'm going to apply that blend diff again, so double click, hold Alt, and drag the right slider to the right more. And we'll have that blue color more dispersed on our subject. I'm going to do the same thing again, so layer, new layer, and the mode should be linear dodge, fill it with black, and do the same thing, hold Alt, click between the layers, and now I'm going to use a more intense blue color, something like that, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to lower the brush size and I'm going to paint with that blue color on the sides of our subject. Alright, so if you think you overreacted with the blue, just change the color to black and you can paint over and it will undo that blue effect that you just did on the subject. Because sometimes you can overreact and you can always change your mind. Alright, so we used the blue color a bit. As you can see, it adds a bit of blue on our subject. And now let's move on by using the same thing, but this time I'm going to use the white color. So layer, the same, linear dodge, and fill it with black. And I'm going to clip it inside by holding Alt. And I'm renaming those layers to white and this one to blue. So we can always modify if we want. Blue base color. So let's go to the white one and now change the color to white. And I'm going to modify the flow to around 7%. And now with the brush selected, but the size should be around 4, I'm going to paint with white on the sides of our subject. Alright, so we added the white reflection also, and now let's add a new layer on top of all and set it to multiply. And this layer, it will be the shadow between the wolf and our archer. So take again the brush tool and let's increase the size of the brush and let's use a darker shade of blue for the shadow. And I'm going to paint between them, something like that, and add a bit of shadow between her and the big wolf. Okay, I think it's too much. Let's use the eraser tool this time and erase a part of this shadow. Alright, I think it's okay. I think we need to make the archer a bit lighter because it's too dark, and we can do that by going to levels and increase a bit this white slider to the right. I think something like that. Alright, I think now it looks good. And now let's take care of the wolf. Let's do the same thing that we did to the archer. First of all, let's add a selective color, and I want to change the whites of our wolf. So go to whites and clip this one inside the wolf layer. Let's play a bit with the settings here. Alright, so those are the white settings. You can copy them if you want. Now let's go to neutrals. Alright, so this is how I want my wolf to look like. And now let's move on and add the levels. So choose levels and clip it inside and drag the white slider to the left. Something like that. And now use the brush tool. And if you don't want to invert, you just click and change the color to black, and now if you paint with black on that side, it will keep the right side the way we made it using the levels. Alright, so now we made the wolf darker on the right side, and now let's add that soft light layer. So layer, new layer, choose soft light and fill it with 50% gray. Clip it inside by holding Alt and click between the layers. Now use the color picker and choose this blue color from the sky, and the flow should be 3% or even less. Now change the color to black, and the flow should be 3%. And we are going to paint on the sides of the wolf now and add more darkness to our wolf. Because our wolf is white, the linear dodge won't work in our case to add that blue reflection. So let's change the linear dodge to soft light. So go to layer, new layer, choose soft light, and fill it with 50% gray. And clip it inside again. So now if we are painting with the blue color, it will add a blue reflection on our wolf. And again, double click and use the blend diff, hold Alt and drag this slider more to the right. Okay, something like that. Now let's add that linear dodge for the white reflection. So go to layer, new layer, and this time use linear dodge, fill it with black, and hold Alt, click between the layers. Now with the white color selected and brush of course selected, we are going to add the white reflection on our wolf. So in our case, for the wolf, I use a fur brush. This one, I'm going to give it to you in a link because the soft brush didn't work that well. So I created the rim lights for the wolf using this fur brush because it imitates the fur of an animal, and the reflection is dispersed, and this is the way I think it should look like. So we have the bottom part ready. Now you can press R again and you can reset the view here, click on top, and now we have our bottom part ready, and let's take care of the top part. So first of all of the top part, let's add some shadows underneath our subjects. So go to the top part and choose the little girl, for example, and add a new layer and drag it underneath the little girl. So we are going to set this layer to multiply, and take the brush tool, press the letter B, and let's take again the soft light, and this time drag one of the points from the top and make it like an oval. So we have this ready, and now let's choose a color from our background, this color, and now if we are painting underneath her boots, we are going to add something like a shadow. So this is actually the contact shadow, and now we need the bigger shadow. So create a new layer, hold Ctrl and click on the layer with the little girl, and on this layer that you just created, fill it with the same color by pressing the letter J and selecting the paint bucket tool. And now press Ctrl T, right click and flip it vertically, and drag this one underneath the little girl. Alright, and now let's press Ctrl T again and hold Ctrl and add a perspective to our shadow. And because we have the light coming from the top part, right top part, I think the shadow should be something like that. Alright, so we have the shadow, and it looks really weird because we need to set this one to multiply and decrease the opacity to around 30%. Alright, now add a mask, and with the normal soft brush and black selected, you can paint and hide the far part of our shadow. I think 30% it's too much. We need it to be around 40 or even 50%, something like that. And now let's add a filter blur and Gaussian blur, and I'm going to add a bit of blur to our shadow, around 5%, and hit OK. Of course, you can play around more with those things, but for our tutorial it looks really nice. We can do the same thing now with the puppy. I want to organize our design a bit, our manipulation, so hold Shift and select those layers of our little girl and press the group icon, and let's rename this little girl. Do the same thing with the puppy. Now let's move on and let's take care of our little girl. First of all, let's add a selective color to play around with the colors that we have in our design and to match her with our colors. There is nothing to do that much because the original picture was made during the day and it looks okay. And let's add a levels adjustment layer. Of course, clip it inside, drag the white slider to the left more, and you can invert by pressing Ctrl and I. And now take the brush tool with the white color selected, and let's paint a bit more to the left side of our little girl. Alright, and I'm going to do the same thing with the dodge and burn, but using the method with soft light. Alright, and clip it inside by holding Alt, take the brush tool, and with the black color selected, we are going to add more black color to our little girl, more intense darkness. Now let's add those reflections a bit, and go to layer, new layer, and set it to linear dodge, fill it with black, and hold Alt and click between the layers. And now let's add something like an orange color that will be reflected on our subject, something like that, the light that comes from the sun. And with the brush tool we are going to paint on the sides, and of course we can always use the black color after if we want to reduce this orange, or the blend if. Alright, now let's see how blend if works. So double click on the layer and hold Alt and drag this slider more to the right. I think something like that. We can move on by adding the same, but this time with the white color. So create the same layer, new layer, and set the mode to linear dodge, fill it with black, add it inside. Let's rename this orange and this one white. Now with the brush tool and the white color selected, let's paint with this white color on the sides of the little girl. Alright, I didn't use that white that much because it's already a daylight, and now because we have the sun on the right side, I'm going to add a new layer, and with the hair brush, I have a hair brush that I use it in the other tutorial. I'm going to give you the link for this tutorial. I'm going to paint some white hair parts on the right side. So with the brush that I have, I'm going to decrease the size to 2%, and I'm going to paint some white hair here on that side where the sun hits her hair. Let's go to the puppy now and do the same things. the wall behind them, it's too bright, so we need to take care of that also. So go on the wall thing and let's add it to a group, hold shift, and if you click on this little group, it will add that to the group. All right, so now let's rename this to wall, and here I'm going to add a levels adjustment layer, add it inside that wall part, and now let's drag the slider more to the left and hold Ctrl and I and invert the mask. Now with the soft brush and flow around 3% and increase the size of the brush, we are going to paint and make this part more darker. Okay, something like that. And now let's add that soft light layer. Okay, and do the same thing with black now. Because we have the light that comes from the top part, we need to add another layer, and I'm going to change the mode to overlay, and I'm going to use that orange color, and I'm going to paint on the bottom part, and you'll see that we are going to add some orange color that comes from our sun, so something like that. All right, let's try again because it was too intense. I just wanted to show you. So let's paint on the ground with that orange color, and it will make that side that comes from the sun more orange. Of course, you can use the eraser tool if you want and you think it's too intense, and play around. All right, now because we have the sun that it comes from the right and it goes to the left part, that means our design should be darker on the sides where the sun doesn't come. So that means we are going to add levels and decrease the brightness. And now in Ctrl and I, invert the mask, and now with the white color we are going to paint on the sides where the sun should not be. Another thing that if you want to try, it's up to you. I made the grass that it's to the sides of our wall. I made it desaturated, so I added a hue and saturation, so on this layer, and I clip it inside by holding Alt, and I decrease the saturation on the grass part, and I use colorized and edit something like burn look, something like that. And now I'm going to press Ctrl and I to invert the mask, and with the white color selected and the brush, I'm going to paint on the sides, and actually those parts will be different than the green part of the normal grass that we have in the center of our image. Now we have our image ready. I think we forgot to add the orange light that comes from the sun in the wall part. So just add another layer, new layer, set to linear dodge and fill it with black. Add it inside. And now if we are painting with that orange color on the sides, it will add a bit of sun reflection on our wall part. And of course, we are going to use the blend diff and double click on the layer. And here, just hold Alt and drag it to the right. And now hit OK. Let's change the color to black. And now if we are painting on the parts that we don't want that color to be, it will erase or make that effect less visible. So I'm painting with black on the top. I don't want that effect to be there, and I think it looks nice. Now let's add that soft light to add more darkness to the wall, and fill it with 50% gray, clip it inside. With the brush selected and the black color, we are going to paint now almost everywhere with that black color and make the wall more darker. And I think the little girl needs to be a bit more lighter, so add brightness and contrast, clip it inside. Let's increase a bit the brightness. And now with the black color selected and the brush, of course, we are going to paint on the bottom part because that part should be darker, and we are going to keep the rest more light. Alright, I think it looks nice. Now we can add a bit of more contrast to the wall part. I forgot to add some contrast over there, so go to the layer with the wall and add a brightness and contrast adjustment layer and increase a bit the contrast. Yeah, and increase a bit the brightness. I think something like that works. And now, because we have some parts too dark, I think we need to, let's see which one, this one. I think we can give up on this layer with the soft light. One thing that I forgot to do, press the letter R and rotate the canvas and go underneath the archer and create a new layer, and let's set this one to color dodge. And I wanted to add a light behind the subject. So take the brush tool and select this blue color by holding Alt, and now let's change the flow to 3% and let's paint behind them, and it will add a nice light behind them. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going on top of the wolf and the gradient map that we have, and now let's add the same color dodge. So this is on top of the layers, and I'm going to do the same thing, but this time it will add this on top of them. So just paint a bit, not too much, on top of them, so we have this light that it's on top of them, not only behind them. So I think now looks good. Press R again and reset the view. A thing that I want to do, it's adding a reflection, a water reflection. You can skip this part if you want, but it will be nice to have a water reflection. So go on top of everything, of all the layers, press Ctrl Alt Shift and I, and right click, convert it to a smart object. This part with the water reflection I have covered in another tutorial a while ago. I will give you the link in the description, so you can learn how to do a displacement map, and we are going to use that displacement map, the same one that I created in that tutorial, in this tutorial. So go to Filter, choose Distort, Displace, and here we are going to use 4 and 4 and hit OK, and we are going to use the displacement. And of course it adds this into entire picture, but we don't want that to the whole image, so we are going to drag this underneath the road part, because the road should be visible and what's behind the road should be reflected. So something like that. As you can see, the reflection is underneath the road. Alright, and now I want the reflection to be only in the front or the top part of the water, let's say. So now let's add an inverted mask. Hold Alt and click on the mask. Take the brush tool, and we are going to paint only here on the top, and we'll add the reflection only to this part where we are going to paint, so not on the entire bottom part. Okay, so we have the reflection only on the bottom part, on the top of the bottom part, and now we can apply the camera raw filter. So go on top of everything, do the same thing, Ctrl Alt Shift and I, right click and convert to a smart object. And now let's click on Filter, Camera Raw Filter. So on the Camera Raw Filter I have used those settings. Of course you can use your own settings. Usually if I open this document tomorrow, I'm going to use other settings because I have other vision. So those are the settings that I use in the basic. Then on the detail I increase sharpening, noise reduction and color noise reduction, and that is about it. Hit OK. So one thing that I noticed after I apply the camera raw filter is that we should have gone more with the grass, because our wall should stop here, not here. Alright, so one easier way is just to drag this to the bottom a bit. Yeah, something like that. And then we are going to go on the mask, take the brush tool with the grass one, and just paint again on that part. And we are going to hide again parts of this wall. So now after we modify some things, let's press Ctrl Alt Shift and I and right click, and because we already have this camera raw filter that we applied before our mistake, let's hold Alt and drag the smart filter into our new screenshot, and Now it will apply the same effects, and you don't need to spend again the same time in applying the right settings. And now we made it to look much better, and I really love the result. For this design I really spent like 2 hours in searching the right images in the right positions, and it took me more to search for the picture than the actual work itself in the design. Because I am a father also of a little girl, I love those type of fantasy designs, and I can watch her every day, how she thinks she's a superhero and she dreams to be one when she will grow up. So because of my kids, I also have a little boy at home. I love to spend time with them and to really understand their dreams and to help them as the time goes by. So I really hope that you like my design. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also follow me on Instagram, where I post most of my work. So thank you for watching this tutorial. I really hope that you like it, and see you next time with another one.